Hey there, champions. This is Miss Gardner, and I am so excited because today I'm going to read you one of my favorite books. It's called When the Beat Was Born, DJ Kool Herc and the Creation of Hip Hop. So, Clive loved music. It didn't matter what kind, whether it was a wah-wah scat of a jiving trumpet, a sorrowful twang of a sad voice, or the belting boom of a gospel singer. Little Clive loved the way sound thumped and bumped all the way down in his stomach. He loved the way the music made his feet go hip, hip, hop, hippity hop. Little Clive was too young to go to the party, so he went to the house when King George and his friends were setting up during the day. They'd arrived pushing a big old handcart stacked with crates of records. Clive had never seen so many records before. And for those of you who don't know, records are the way that a long, long time ago, everybody used to listen to music. They listened with records and a record player. He imagined himself as a DJ surrounded by all those records, choosing just the right song to get the party jamming. He saw himself toasting like a DJ talking and singing over the instrumental B-sides of records. Clive dreamed of everyone's feet going hip hip hop, hippity hop. Little Clive really wanted to be a DJ. When little Clive was 13, he joined his mama in New York City. Clive wasn't sure he liked his new neighborhood in the Bronx. It was cold. He had to wear a silly winter hat with ear flaps, and everybody made fun of him. So I think I forgot to tell you at the beginning of this story that Clive was actually a real person, and these events actually happened. So he moved from Jamaica to New York City. I bet it was a lot colder. But Clive did one thing besides music that made him feel like he belonged: sports. He ran track and lifted weights. He played basketball at the neighborhood playground. Soon, little Clive was no longer little. He had grown to 6 foot 5 inches tall. He called himself Cool as Clyde after his favorite basketball player, Walt Clyde Frazier. But the kids on the basketball court took one look at his size and called him Hercules. Clive cut the name short to Herc and then added Cool to make it just right. Kool Herc. The best part of being big was that he could go with his mama to neighborhood house parties where he listened to the hottest tunes and danced like crazy. Clive loved these parties. They were just like the ones he stood outside of in Somerset Lane. One day, Kool Herc's father bought a monster sound system with giant 6 foot speakers, but when he hooked up the system, instead of a really big sound coming from the speakers, a little mumbling sound trickled out. Kool Herc spent days switching wires and plugging things into other things until one day the sound was big. Not just big like Kool Herc, but big like an entire block in the Bronx. Kool Herc and his little sister Cindy rented the rec room in their housing project on Sedgwick Avenue. They handwrote invitations telling everybody when and where to go get their groove on. They posted cards around the neighborhood. They set up their father's sound system. On the night of the party, everybody who was anybody made their way to the Sedgwick Avenue for Kool Herc's hot dance party. That's when Kool Herc became DJ Kool Herc. DJ Kool Herc noticed that dancers danced crazy hard during the breaks in the song when the lyrics ended and the music bumped and thumped. Herc knew that's what dancers wanted, so he plugged in 2 turntables instead of one. He put the same record on both turntables. He set it up so that when one record ended its break, he could skip over to the other turntable and play it again. Doing this over and over, he made a 10-second break last for 10 to 15, even 20 minutes or more. So he is skipping back and forth between records, making the song go on and on and on. And that is something really cool that you can do with records. Herc remembered the way DJs in Jamaica would chant and toast over the music. He started calling out the names of his friends during the breaks. There goes my mellow Coco Rock in the house. There goes my mellow Clark Kent in the house. There goes my mellow Timmy Tim in the house. There goes my mellow Bambata. Everybody loved hearing his or her name called out over the music. He'd compliment people on their dance moves. He'd talk about the music and send shout-outs. He'd make up little raps like the jump rope rhymes he heard on the playground, or he would call, "Hey Mike, on the lights! Make like a strobe," and Mike would switch the switch off and on. Over the next year, Herc took his parties to the streets and parks of the Bronx. And if you don't know where the Bronx is, it's in New York City. He plugged his sound system into the lampposts. They pulled so much power that the streetlights dimmed the perfect lighting for a street party. Kool Herc's music made everybody happy. Even street gangs wanted to dance, not fight. Gangs like the Savage Skulls, the Glory Stompers, and Blue Diamonds, the Black Cats, and the Black Spades turned into breakdancing crews who performed some of the slickest moves. I think that's my favorite part, that there were gangs in New York and the Bronx, and they were fighting each other, and instead of fighting each other, they danced with each other. Herc called the coolest dancers breakdancers or b-boys because they loved to dance like the breaks. When Herc would end a really good break, he'd shout, "B-boys, go down!" Then the breakdancers would cut and jump their gymnastics. Hey, check this out. The top rock, the down rock, the windmill, the turtle, one-handed handstand freeze, the suicide. Herc gathered a crew of friends to rap behind his DJing. He invited Coke La Rock, a Jamaican friend, to rap. He called him his master of ceremonies, or MC. Coke knew all about toasting like Jamaican DJs. He was the best of Herc's crew of MCs, called the Herculoids. Herc would introduce them with a rap. "You're rockin', you don't stop, and this is the sounds of DJ Kool Herc, and the sound system you're listening to is what we call the Herculoids." Soon, kids from all over New York City came to see DJ Kool Herc, who threw the biggest and baddest parties on Cedric Avenue. Africa Bambaataa, Grandmaster Flash, Jazzy Jeff, and dozens of others all wanted to be DJs just like Kool Herc. There's no story can't be told, there's no horse that can't be rode, no bull can't be stopped, and ain't a disco we can't rock. Herc, Herc, who's the man with the master plan from the land of Gracie Grace? Herc, Herc. Herc didn't just rock the block, he put the hip hop hippity hop into the world's heartbeat. All right, and that's the end. So if you get a chance, after you have listened to this book, I invite you to go online and look up some original breakdancing moves because they're pretty awesome. All right, y'all have a great day. I hope you enjoyed the